Welcome to Friday Night Sports Show. I'm Cody Feldman here with
Jonathan Gould.
And today we have maybe our most special and important guest yet, coach of the cross-country team, but most importantly, advisor to the student-run Port Vikings Instagram account, Mr. Klaff, the teacher of our sports broadcast.
Emphasis on student-run.
Student-run, of course.
To know that.
So, Mr. Klaff, a lot of growth over the year, especially with the increase in sports content and Schreiber Slam. How do you feel we've grown this year?
Well, we came into this year, it was an experiment. I had some ideas of what we wanted to achieve for Port Vikings. As we know, Port Vikings has been around for, about 5 years. It was created by WDOT radio students who used this room, and they had an idea, and we took that idea to a new level, and we went in with some goals. And I think we not only accomplished those goals, but we exceeded those goals.
People have been loving the content so far that we've put out this year. What do you think has been the best either segment or best video that we have produced?
So everything evolved, and we came into that class thinking, okay, we're going to put together some packages, we're going to do play-by-play, and then we got the backdrop, and the backdrop was giving us the idea of let's bring about a weekly show, which turned out to be maybe 3 times a week or 4 times a week. One week we had, I think, 4 or 5 of them, Vikings Rundown. And people loved the content of just having like an anchor desk, and we had those news packages. So that was definitely my favorite thing. This show is also my favorite thing because it uses the radio station, which is really the staple of everything that we've ever done with broadcasting at Schreiber. I love the station, and to see it now weekly, seen by thousands of people is great. People have come up to me saying they want to get involved with radio. A lot of people signed up next year for it because they see the content here. And, of course, my favorite part of the show is the Jangle cast. As you can see right here, is he eating my finger?
Looks like he is.
Is he easy?
I think so.
He's easy. Ow! Easy there, Jangle. So just adding little things like that to the broadcast, I think is a wonderful addition as well.
Staying on the topic of Rundown, when you recorded that first one back in September, did you realize the kind of impact it would have across the social media aspect and the aspect of your classes in the school?
Instantly, when we posted that, it got about 10 comments in the first minute, and people were like, whoa, this is ESPN for Schreiber High School. And if you look back at that first rundown, which I think they're going to do, they're going to analyze that. Baxter and Gannon want to do that. And you'll see it's very different. You'll see that I think if you look back at the earlier content, and by the way, if you're watching this, you can see all of our content on YouTube. There is a YouTube channel that's linked from Port Vikings. When we put the TVs up around the school, that's going off of YouTube. And when we had that first go around, it was pretty obvious we weren't so great. We weren't so polished at broadcasting. At the time we said, well, we look pretty good on camera. But in hindsight, when we see the stuff that we're producing now, if you go from Rundown 1 to Rundown 50, you'll see that the broadcasting team, the entire team, not just the anchors, have really improved a lot. And I think that's probably what I'm most proud of the group, is just how polished we look now compared to not only other student broadcasters in high school on Long Island, but college as well. If you look at a lot of the college products that are out there on social media, you'll say, you know what, Port Vikings holds their own, if not exceeds, some really prestigious schools that broadcast.
We did hammer down the focus on Rundown, but I want to stick to me and Cody show specifically, the Friday Night Sports Show. It was originally the Friday morning sports show started by Chris Spina and Jackman, and then it really just died down. And then Cody had the idea to bring it back, but instead of doing it where we just posted on the WDOT website, we actually posted on the Instagram. How do you feel it's really grown, especially starting with our first couple of episodes with Kenny Daly and Isaiah Clemens to now having you on the show?
So the Friday Night Sports Show actually goes back to the first year of WDOT. It was 2004, 2005. It's about 20 years old. I always kept that Friday morning sports show going because Schreiber Radio always had a large group of students who wanted to do sports talk. They try to model themselves after other things they hear on other stations such as WFAN. So that has always been a staple of the radio station. But as I found out with radio, it used to be called radio broadcasting. Now it's radio podcasting. We've had to evolve because radio, they always said video killed the radio star. There's truth to that. So what we've done with Port Vikings is you take that radio content, and how many people were listening to those shows over the years? I don't know, probably not too many. But you take that same format talking about Viking sports. Now it's on Instagram and you have thousands of viewers. So what we've done is we've kept content similar, but it's just the venue of where we're putting it, or the format of social media. And you reach just a grand audience that I could never have imagined when I broadcasted in college, nor could I have imagined in the infancy of WDOT.
I want to stick with the theme of both improvement and evolving. Seems like every radio show, every rundown, every basketball broadcast, everyone involved just got so much better. And then you go to the Basswords and you look for like justification in that improvement. And we didn't really win anything. So do you think there's a target on your back for next year to keep improving, like really show who's the best on Long Island, the best high school?
So I think awards are subjective. You know, you look at stuff, and we sat there looking at who won, especially when you look at best live sports. There's no high school that comes close to whatever Zach and Mac accomplished for live sports. They traveled with the team. We had professional broadcasters, tell us how great they are. And we've had professional broadcasters, as we know, come out of WDOT and Schreiber High School. And I think you don't need, to me, I don't need a piece of plastic to justify what's done here. People vote on how they want to judge awards. I told you all in class even, I said that these don't mean anything. What it means is you're putting out content that thousands of people are seeing, more than any high school that I know of in this area. And not only that, I'll tell you, I was talking to somebody yesterday, this is a true story, and I'll bring it up. I was talking to a parent of a Plainview kid who's on the basketball team. The Plainview varsity is one of the better players. And he told me that when they go to Port Washington, the parents noticed it. They say, well, look at all these kids, painted blue in the county, in the championship. No one has that presence of fans to watch a high school basketball game. And then they go to their court and they say, well, where are all the people? Where are the students? It's 1 o'clock, it's Saturday. And everybody in Port Washington knows to be at that game. And we put up some serious numbers. You look at the county championship. They were there to see the team, but I would think that Port Vikings can take some credit of the Schreiber troops showing up draped in blue and just, making an electric atmosphere. And they say, well, media doesn't control sports, but it can contribute to sports. And I think the school spirit that you see here is a product of whatever Port Vikings has done. And you never had that 15 years ago. The coaching cross country, we won our first county title when I was, my first county title was 2007. And when that happened, we came to school the next day and nobody knew anything. You put it in a morning announcement. Now it could be just a random quad meet on a Tuesday. You show up to school, hey, great win yesterday. And that happens across the board on all sports. And that's an incredible thing for a student athlete to feel like they're a celebrity. When you bring in here, Jeff Radinsky to do an interview Friday right before the county championship, that's a special thing. And for all the people to see it. And I think a lot of the student body who saw this, now they want to take part in it next year. And we're going to get more kids in radio and more kids involved.
We did hit an amazing milestone a couple of weeks ago. Port Vikings hit 4,500 followers. How do you feel that just the account in itself really grew since September and August? Yeah,
not that I'm counting, but that's about 1,000 new subscribers since we started in September. I remember it going from 3,800 to 3,900. And they're real. You look at social media and people have thousands, tens of thousands of, these are real people who subscribe. And you can tell that by the amount of likes that people get. I think it's extraordinary for a student to be able to put out, like for someone like Henry to make a tennis package, and his packages have been unbelievable. And you take kids who didn't know how to edit, and now they're editing these type of packages, and they're seen by thousands of people, parents, student athletes. That's incredible because like I said before, when I was in college, I thought I was doing good work. I would call games for basketball at Binghamton, and I don't know how many. If we had 100 listeners, it would be great. Now you're in the thousands. What's our highest thing that you have this year?
I'm pretty sure it was our Schreiber Slam video of just the raw footage of Matina jumping off the ladder and comparing it to his original one a couple years ago in the latest Schreiber Slam. That one did a lot of numbers. It also got us to reach out with House of Highlights. They reached out to us. They reposted the video that I recorded. Many people asked me why didn't I take the credit for it. I said it's not about me. It's about just growing Port Vikings as a whole. I don't want to just take all the credit, and I like to think anyone else in the class like Baxter, Gannon, they don't want to take the credit of just being the rundown guy. They want to be okay, Port Vikings is helping me with this and helping me aspire to get the goals that I want to accomplish in my career.
And that's incredible. And keeping Port Vikings going, that's what you have to do. And as I've told you, Jojo, you'll have to pass it to the next generation, because I don't know if people know it out there, but Jojo's doing all those posts, all those posts, game day posts, the finals post. That's all him doing all of that stuff. It's like we all do, and I know you don't take credit for it, so I'll give you credit now. He's posting all day. He's probably on his phone way too
Every graphic
is Jonathan Gold, and that's something that's going to be tough to replace, because no one's posted like you. Like, we've had good officers, no one's done it like this, and that's something that we could try to continue. Now, I can't control that; it's student run. There are only certain things that I can control. What's in the class with media. But I can't even imagine what your screen time is on a daily basis.
Especially during the playoffs for a bunch of the sports that definitely did go far. Like baseball, I was on my phone way too much, getting stats,
not healthy.
Gathering stats for everyone. I was up till certain times editing videos. Like when I made the hype video, I was up late and I had to reach out to so many people. I reached out to one of the founders of Port Vikings just to get one minute video that was probably a 10-second clip from 2019.
Yes,
which I think it's crazy that we can accomplish such amazing things, not even just by finding them, by just talking to people. Crispina and Adam Jackman, they love what we've been doing and the way we've grown it. Crispina is one of my brothers, really one of his really good friends. He's at my house all the time watching hockey with my brother, playing hockey, and he's always like, "Oh, I love what you guys are doing with Rundown. Make sure you tell the kids that are in this class and helping do each thing." He said, we mainly just did the major sports like basketball and in the fall football, lacrosse in the spring. We didn't imagine we'd have tennis packages or we'd have videos on bowling or miking up players during warm-ups like we did, which will be posted soon, by the way. Jacob Bretstein mic'd up in games 1 and 2 of the county finals. Be prepared for that one. But it was a really good one. But I just want to mainly focus on, he was really loving the way we've grown it, and especially with all the posts, he's like, yeah, we probably posted twice, 3 times a week. You guys are posting 4 times a day sometimes. Yeah. And he even said the point about my screen time. He's like, you're editing all of this, and I see you editing all these videos 24/7. He said it's amazing work, and he's proud of what we've accomplished, especially in just a year.
You think about the kids, and time goes by in a flicker. You guys, 10 years from now, you'll be out of high school. It goes by really fast. But all of our DJs will jump to help us out. We have kids that are broadcasting. Weatherman Adam out in California doing that stuff. Harrison Remler, who is an agent, and of course Jake Eisenberg, Josh White. People who, and those of you who don't know, Jake Eisenberg, the broadcaster for the Kansas City Royals, who's on MLB Network every day. Josh White, who's running the media for Miami. Baseball, and of course Matt Levine, who came to our class this year. He's been on SNY. I don't even know how many times, calling basketball or baseball, and just a whole list of others, including recent graduates who came out, Jasper Abrahams and Zach Spring, who came back, who's running media for the New York Rangers. It's just an incredible, and for me, it's one of the things that I'm most proud of in teaching, is that I have all these kids who have come through radio and they've gone on to do this for real, and they're always willing to help out. Even people who went to Schreiber, like Kenny Albert, will always interview with the kids here. I think it's a special connection.
You've been talking a lot about both the past and the future, and before we get to the future, I'm going to divert for just 1 second because our DJ is here. I think a lot of the watchers at home are probably wondering where he is. Hudson Menzel is here, and guess what, Mr. Klaff? This is the most he's known about anyone so far. He never knows anything. Well, Hudson does know Port Vikings, so we'll see what his question is today.
Before I ask the question, yes. I would like to say, though, that Schreiber Slam video you were referencing, I just checked, it's now at over 30,000 views. It's one of the most viewed videos we have on Port Vikings, and because media organizations like Barstool and House of Highlights are reposting it.
Well, and of course, and the House of Highlights has how many now? 4 million?
So many. Over 4 million.
It's well over.
Let's not overlook that.
8-10 million.
And all the comments are like, oh my God, I wish this was my school. I wish I were going here. This guy, Matina, is insane. So that shows you put the videos out there, people will see them. And now, Mr. Klaff, first of all, big fan.
Yes.
For your question today, Tell us about an interaction with someone that you've had that you will never forget.
An interaction with anybody?
Anybody. Just something like if you met somebody for 30 seconds and talked to them and it was just a very meaningful interaction, or some advice someone told you. Anything that'll just stick with you for the rest of your life.
Wow. I don't know. I've been somewhat fortunate that I've met, celebrity, just short things in life. I can't really think of anybody. Does it have to be a celebrity, or can just
it could be anyone? It could be another teacher.
Just be
anyone. Just something. Just either conversation you had that
just changed a conversation that changed my life.
Exactly.
Okay, so I'm gonna go way back. So I was supposed to. I got into law school, and I wasn't gonna be a teacher. And I was at a Met game, and I was with my father's friend. My father was a teacher for like 100 years. And I said to this guy who was a lawyer, and I said, should I do a lawyer and teacher? He said to me, he goes, well, what's more important to you? He says, having some yacht or your time and what you do. And I said, my time is more important. And that short conversation, was the reason why I didn't go to law school. And then I went here, and then, I've taught, and then I was able to, do all the fun things and creative things. And maybe I could have been the greatest attorney of all time, but that's a decision I've never looked back on. So there's a little snippet of my past that's probably 25 years ago. That short conversation. Great question, Hudson. As always.
And
I'm a big
you
fan.
turned out all right.
Sort of. Depends who you ask in my family.
Depends how you look at it.
Yes.
Yeah.
I want to talk about Schreiber News Network for a second, and I want to know what you think we can bring to the table next year for the senior experience class, especially based on what the sports broadcasting class has accomplished this year.
So SNN, the idea was, we took all this stuff, and you had mentioned it before, track videos, tennis video. We covered everything. We covered every sport. And now it's time to cover every other thing in Schreiber. There's a lot of stories here. It's not just clubs and classes. It's what are students thinking? What are the features on kids, features on teachers, just really endless stories. We want to take what the Schreiber Times is doing and make it more of a video package. And that's the plan behind SNN, having a news desk just like we have for Vikings Rundown, but applying our philosophy of covering media, because I think the most important thing for us, and I said it on day one of the class, content. We need content. A lot of people, what I find is they say, oh, we should do that. We should do this. If you want to make content, then you make the content. And I know it sounds obvious, but a lot of times people don't put out a finished product. And when you have deadlines, you come out with a finished product. So the idea is to come out with a lot of finished products. We're going to have a new Instagram that people can follow. And I know you've been working over the summer to create that SNN. It's already in its infancy, created this year by Sam Capuano. And the idea is to really take that philosophy and apply it to everything, not just sports. In addition, there'll be a project, which I'm going to work on over the summer, to come up with ideas for what students can do to really take this to the next level. My hope is that the majority of our students will go on to college doing at least radio and hopefully TV stuff.
I mean, as you were just talking, I was scrolling through all of our past, not even just photos and posts, through all of our reels from Port Vikings going to years ago. Some of these haven't even reached 100 views.
Yeah.
But then going to our first video of this year, produced by Ryan Cho, and we all joke about it in class. It was the Felix goal call.
The Felix goal
where
call.
everyone chants, Felix!
Let's go, Felix! Now here's Felix. Ref blows the whistle. Felix shoots. And it's a goal by Felix! What a goal! Slots in bottom right corner! And Port Washington takes the lead!
So that one started off with that currently has 5,721 views.
And that's just Cho yelling
That's just
Felix.
Cho screaming.
He's just screaming Felix's name.
And that was the first broadcast of the. Right,
It was the
that's
first
play-
broadcast,
first play-by-play.
and it was our first Instagram reel of the year that was sports related. We did have like a little intro
Right,
with
and that Trevor Amalfitano 1,000 points. That's got to have that Zach's call. It's got to have.
It's doing. All of our posts have recently been doing amazing.
I know the pregame show of the county final was 26,000 last
Yes.
I looked at it, and that's.
It's still at 26,000.
I also think that like it's so important that we have that class time, because none of this stuff really got views last year, but you give me an hour during school to work on it. For example, my first volleyball package of the year, it was nothing special. I went to a game, I got about a minute of footage, and I put a Young Thug song over it, and that got like 4,000 views, and that completely blows away anything that would have happened in years past. But this year, it's an average to below average view count, and so I think it just goes to show that it's so important that you were able to get this class time for us, and you give us this opportunity to put it out, because when we have time, just 1 hour to refine the product, it looks so much better.
Yeah, and that's the thing. When it becomes an assignment, it's something you have to do, and when you have the time, it's something that you can
Gotta hit the
do.
deadline.
You did. You had to hit the deadline. And we're still working on that in class, because you're all going to have deadlines. But you think about the skills that you got out of this class, just editing, how important that is, and how social media works. There's a lot that went into this besides play-by-play and broadcast and just making packages about sports. And I'd like to think that you all became like lifelong friends because of this whole journey and all this work that you've done after school. At least that's my hope, like my little children coming together. And because you do work close together and you do work long hours. And sometimes it's not during class, it's after school, traveling with a team, or Cal covering everything, every sport with the camera. And the fact that athletes see him and they let's say they score a goal, they run right up to him, or Jimmy Gannon sees him and he runs right up to him with the camera because they know who Cal is. And that's just a fantastic thing at Schreiber.
How do you feel we've really, just this year alone, we've really just impacted the community of Port Washington and also like the surrounding communities? Because I know a couple other schools surrounding us, like Manhasset, after seeing the work we've put out and how successful we've been, they've started their own broadcasting classes and everything, and just showing the impact that Port Vikings has had that you helped create.
Oh, it's unbelievable. The fact that we can look back in 10 years and you say, well, where are they now in 10 years? And I know that some of our broadcasters are going to seminars over the summer. Others want to now get involved in communications at college. And sometimes in high school, you just have a little thing that you do, and it kind of could spark a whole path for you moving forward.
Something that we really do not have on the show is a second DJ question from Hudson Denzel. He was just motioning over to me to send the microphone over to him. What do you got for us, Hudson?
So it's not really a question. I just wanted to add in to the people listening. I remember last school year, towards the end of the year, you were subbing for one of my classes, and you pulled me aside to tell me about this new idea that you and Mr. Koch had for a class about sports broadcasting. And you were saying it's just in the early stages. We don't know how it's going to go. We'll have you in it. I have about 2 or 3 other kids that I know I want to be in it. And we'll see if we could get it passed by the school. And we'll see how it goes. And now looking back at that, now a year later, it's grown so much. And that little idea has sparked so much for our school and for the community. It's insane how just...
in 1 year,
thought can in just 1 year can blow up so huge.
Because teachers often don't realize this, because when our lives move fast, like every year, it becomes very cyclical when you're a teacher, and it's like you do the same thing, and I'm going to teach about the New Deal now, and that happens, and a year goes by. When you're a teenager, a year's a long time. Like when you're a year for a teacher, someone in their 40s is not. You don't really. These are what do they say, the formative years. What you can do in September, and you look, and this is not just in broadcasting. This is any class. You go from September and then you go to June. That's a long time, and that's why I always say, like, don't sell yourself short. You can accomplish a lot of things. If I went into September and the first day of class said, okay, we're going to edit and everyone's going to learn how to use CapCut and everyone's going to learn how to stand in front of people. Think about how nervous DJs are to just talk to adults. I remember that was an issue. Go talk to the coach. Do I have to? And now it's like, okay, go talk to the coach, go to the athlete. No problem. It's just getting comfortable, getting a new comfort zone. I think is important too, especially when you're young.
I got one final question before we have to wrap this up. Sticking to just me personally, on this one, as one of the Port Vikings officers, how do you feel me personally has mainly just gone up in the rank, not like rankings, but like has really stepped up doing work since September to now?
You're talking about, you're asking me how lazy were you in the fall?
I want to know what was going through your head, especially now for all I've done, especially in the spring season. Okay,
so first of all, you and not the only one. We've had certain people who've really turned it on late, Wait till you all see some of the videos for the Vikings.
Shout out Ryan Cho.
Big Ryan Cho shout out.
Wait till you see that's out of nowhere. And you never. One of the things as a coach, I always say never give up on a freshman. I say that to my team all the time. I never give up on a freshman. A freshman could be a terrible runner freshman year, and they could be county champion senior year. And you're all kind of like freshmen in that regard. This is your first year broadcasting in this way. So I never give up on that. And certainly, Jojo, every video has been you in the fourth quarter. You're always on camera. You're always interviewing people. So we would say a very strong finish to the year for you. But throughout the whole time, you've always had the posts. The posts were always going, and the game day posts and the recaps. One criticism I do have of Port Vikings is that we need to report when we lose more often, and we need to report scores when we start losing, because people will be like, "What's going on?" For example, you did it for the baseball, but not for maybe one of the basketball games. One of the was lacrosse or soccer. I didn't even know what the score was because there's no way to find it. And we are ESPN for Port Washington. So one of the things I would say is we need to report the news, whether it's good or bad. And we've gotten better with the bad, but we need to be as consistent with bad news for losses as we are for the good ones.
Hudson's again motioning to me before I was about to
This is like the
start wrapping
50-minute show. It's the longest Friday night sports show.
Real quick.
It's almost Saturday morning.
To wrap things up real quick, where do you see Port Vikings in 10 years?
I hope it's similar, but I would imagine we get better. That's the hope. You're always trying to improve. I've never, in any class I teach, I never like just rest and go like, good enough, we're done here. You always try to improve. And I think that as technology changes and social media changes, which it always does.
More grants? Please.
Well, money as well, too, yeah. Receiving money, buying new things, getting better equipment, that's something that we can do. And I think that, and I know, other schools try to model themselves after us. I do know that. I've talked to Mr. Schratweiser about that. He hears it all the time from other athletic directors. How are you doing this? Wow, we wish we have something. Because a lot of schools have. What makes us different is the depth of our coverage, the amount of coverage, the amount of posts, and the amount of kids that we have that are really into this and they love it and they want to help out. And also, we should especially thank the coaches who have been so cooperative with us. Just last Holzer letting them on the bus for baseball, of course, Dooley the whole year, kids traveling. So. And football and so on and so forth. So that's really important too. It's become a point where the coaches, the students, the faculty, they're all on board with this to really get this to the next level.
One final thing before we have Cody wrap it up. We do have a thing with Port Vikings where we have a set of officers who are basically running things behind the scenes, posting everything, making the game day graphics and all the posts, editing. I'm here to announce the officers for the next upcoming year. Robert Higgins is one of them. My co-host, Cody Feldman, is the other one. And also, Zach Nash is the final and third addition to the officers. Now, the full rotation is me, Cody, our Hudson, and Ryan Baxter. We're also adding Cal Lundberg, Zach Nash, and Robert Higgins. So we're going to have a full frontal, especially with all the sports coming on.
And of course, we have to make sure we just keep getting younger as the youth comes in, 9th grade, we recruit, and we get more people on board. That's how we keep this going.
Last thing, promise.
It's like the fifth last thing.
We've been here.
It's now Sunday afternoon with the Friday night sports show.
I never got my last thing, so I just want to say this. I just want to thank you, Mr. Klaff. Freshman year, radio was one of my favorite classes, and I just kind of dropped it all last year. And I was signed up to take Comp Sci this year until it was like April or May. I got an email from you. I'm doing a new class. You were great in my radio class. I want you to come. I know you were a big sports guy in that class. And I just want to thank you for inviting me, bringing me in. This has been a great experience for me. It's been a great experience for all of us. And I'm sure your students next year will appreciate it fully.
I hope so. It's my pleasure. You were excellent. Everybody who did the class was excellent, and I'm really proud of everything that you've done. I mean, I show it to everybody. I show my family. Like, look at this video. I just showed it to my wife yesterday. The Cal, whatever podium posted yesterday, the best Ackerman video of the year. I'm like, you got to see this, and I'm very proud of it. All the things that you accomplished.
Well, that'll be all for us. DJ Hudson Menzel, Jojo Gold, Cody Feldman. The Jangle Cast is down there. Shout out Josh Angle.
It's got to be over by now. I mean, this is
the Friday Night Sports Show. Thank you for watching if you made it this far.